Cincinnatians love our history, but sometimes we accept myths without facts. For example, Cincinnati is not located upon 7 hills. To be geologically technical, Cincinnati has no hills at all, only valleys. What we count as hills are just lobes of a glacially flattened plain extending into a central valley. And once we started counting those lobes, there's no stopping. One recent survey has identified at least 80 Cincinnati hills. Arnold's Bar did not open in 1861. Simon Arnold indeed occupied part of a building on 8th Street in 1861. However, he wasn't running a saloon. He was building billiard tables because he was a carpenter until 1877. From 1856 to 1877, there was a saloon at that address, but it was run by George and Wilhelmina Weber, not anyone named Arnold. The Arnold family didn't take over the saloon until 1877, when Wilhelmina Weber retired. The saloon closed during Prohibition, and no one from the Arnold family lived in that building again until 1933. The history of Arnold's appears to have been invented by Elmer Arnold in 1959 when he was trying to sell the place. The Cincinnati subway did not fail because of poor design and cost overruns. In his exhaustive review of Cincinnati's incomplete subway in 2010, Jacob R. Mecklenburg concluded that despite the usual financial shenanigans of the Boss Cox political machine, the Cincinnati subway was well planned and potentially viable. Mecklenburg believes the newly elected Progressive City Administration of 1925 could have saved the project, but declined to do so to avoid giving the remaining Cox machine a victory. To cover their tracks, the Progressives cooked up a lot of unfounded propaganda. Mark Twain never did say, when the end of the world comes, I want to be in Cincinnati, because it's always 10 years behind the times. The quote appears in none of Twain's voluminous writings or in any report of his speeches or interviews. In brief, if Mark Twain ever uttered such a comment, no one appears to have recorded it. And finally, the first bathtub in the United States was not installed in Cincinnati. In 1917, noted columnist H.L. Mencken published a humorous essay titled A Neglected Anniversary in the New York Evening Mail. Mencken claimed that the first bathtub in the United States was installed in a Cincinnati home by one Adam Thompson in 1842. Although this hoax was totally fake news, it has been repeated as truth many times over and over and still pops up as fact online today. Well, to dive deeper into these myths, we're joined now by Greg Hand, the man, the myth, the legend behind Cincinnati Curiosities. Greg, always great to see you. So, what are some of the other Cincinnati hills?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I've been working with an emeritus professor from the Mount St. Joseph University. Between the two of us, we have counted 80 hills in Cincinnati that have names. Just to give one example, what we now call Price Hill used to be 4 separate hills: Mount Hope, Mount Echo, Mount Harrison, and Price's Hill. We also used to have an East Hill. We had a Clark's Hill. There are hills all over this city that have had names in the past that we've forgotten.
Well, how about that? Some street names maybe, though, still around. Remember those.
Exactly.
Interesting. I have to ask, are you afraid to show your face at Arnold's?
Oh, I love Arnold's. I absolutely love Arnold's, but I love the truth more. And I think I've done Arnold's a favor by digging up the actual history of that saloon. They can claim another 5 years and claim to be 5 years older than they're now claiming. So, in my opinion, I've done them a favor.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so when it comes to the subway, are you saying we could use that starting maybe today?
If we clear it out, right now, since we hit a hole in the ground, we filled it with water mains, and there's a lot of electrical wiring and that sort of thing down there. But if we pulled it out, according to some of the experts who have been down there, it's still in usable condition. The problem is the system that it was built to contain, the interurban rail lines that ran between, say, Cincinnati and Hamilton, no longer exist. So So we'd have to rebuild those too. But if we did, the subway's ready for transportation.
How about that? Certainly clear up a lot of congestion up above. No doubt about that. Well, Greg, this is always fascinating talking with you. Thanks so much for sharing all of these interesting myths with us.
You got it.